Hey guys, welcome back. So now we're getting into the conclusion of Dark Web. And really this is one of those events where I feel like it could have been avoided for a number of reasons. But not only that, because also with the way that this ends, it now makes this entire event seem like Madelyne Pryor has just finessed everyone so that she can get what she wants. And with that said, let's get into it. But first, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to catch the spills every week. And don't forget to hit that bell up top so we can squat up in the comments for the first hour. Alright, so for the conclusion of Dark Web, at this point we come back from the X-Men tie-ins, where we come to find out that Jean had just gave Madelyne back all the memories. And I mean, with seeing this, I'm not gonna front, I got a little upset, because I imagine had Madelyne just asked Jean in the first place for these memories, then she would have just gotten them back. Like really, I have a hard time imagining Jean not helping, because with Madelyne asking, that would have just avoided Dark Web as a whole event. And I really don't see that as being a bad thing. But with Madelyne ultimately getting what she wanted, she no longer wanted to continue her attack. But at this point with Ben and Janine still not having what they wanted, which really is more so about Ben getting his memories back, but this now has Ben to the point to where he's not done. So as a result, he steals the Scythe of Sorrows as well as Madelyne's throne. And with doing so, he just keeps the chaos rolling. But also with Ben Reilly being the ruler of Limbo, from here he plans to turn up the attack to the max. And he kicks this off by marching every demon he can find right into New York. But also with Madelyne Pryor just flip-flopping and switching sides in the middle of this chaos which she started. And I'm not gonna leave that alone, we're definitely gonna get back to that. But also with Madelyne Pryor joining the heroes, she runs into a bit of friction with both her and Spider-Man debating on who's going for Chasm. And I like that from the very beginning, Spider-Man calls her out because again, she started this whole thing. She recruited Chasm and put the idea in his head of how to get Peter's memories. She recruited Eddie Brock, manipulating him to get what she needed. Madelyne Pryor is literally where all of this began. And I mean, they don't get too deep into it at this point because Chasm is still a problem and he needs to be stopped. But then from here, Madelyne brings up the valid point of Chasm being way too powerful for Peter to take on himself. And Peter agrees, but also he knows that Ben is way too blinded by hatred to even think straight. Cause this was something that was shown in Amazing Spider-Man Legacy issue 911, the Dark Web tie-in, when Peter made his way to Limbo in order to play along and save J. Jonah Jameson and Robbie Robertson. But also we saw at the time that Ben Reilly was just way too overt. Way early on in his attempt to get Peter to eat the fruit from the Tree of Exquisite Liberation, because that's what he needed to do to be able to take Peter's memories. But he pressed too hard, too early, making it obvious to Peter what his plan was, rather than playing the long game and using Limbo to his advantage to catch Peter off guard. But also at the time, we saw that Ben had another trick up his sleeve with him putting together the Insidious Six, who really were just a team of demons that he had put together to be Limbo's version of the Sinister Six. Cause with Peter playing along in the role of himself, but in Limbo, these guys were meant to be the hellish version of what Peter would have faced in the regular New York. But also with bringing this up, I do gotta mention that there was one demon who instead wanted to play the role of Spider-Man. Or more so, Peter Parker Man, or just Parker Man, because unlike the others, he wanted to be a good guy. But Chasm didn't like that idea because it was supposed to be a bad guy only kind of thing. But this eventually led to the little scrawny guy getting chased away, to where then he ran into the demon scientist from the Venom series, who had already been doing a number of questionable experiments with symbiotes and magic, and he granted the little guy's wish of making him into a hero, who goes by the name of Wreck Rap. But also this gave Peter the unexpected ally that kind of turned things on his head. But at this point with Madelyne Pryor joining the heroes and sorting things out with Spider-Man, so that now the plan is for Spider-Man to go for Chasm, and it's from here where all the heroes make their way back to New York, where once again Chasm is having his demon parade, which in a way feels more like Ben Reilly showing off his new suit, which at this point has been updated with the Ruler of Limbo drip. But then of course the parade is interrupted with the heroes making their way back from Limbo, which they're no longer trapped in because again, Madelyne Pryor switched sides. But then it's here where we get probably my favorite part of this conclusion. And I mean like aside from the very end. But it's here where the Sinister Six go after Madelyne Pryor, calling her the Fallen Queen. But with them saying this and rushing towards her, they don't even get close. Because now, falling right in line with what we saw at the end of Venom issue 16, Madelyne Pryor brings in Bedlam, and from here, with Bedlam striking fear into the hearts of all these demons, he then brings back the chainsaw hand, and he shreds the Insidious Six into tiny little cutlets. Because you guys already know, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point, that the main reason I even got into Dark Web was to follow Bedlam's journey through this event. And I mean also because Ben Reilly's new costume is pretty fire, but you know, aside from those two things, that's pretty much about it. But with Bedlam tearing through the Insidious Six and a number of other demons, Peter and Wreck-Rap make their way to Chasm in Hallows Eve. In between them, Wreck-Rap takes on Hallows Eve while Peter goes up against Chasm. And really it's here where rather quickly Peter begins to regret the conversation from earlier when he was calling dibs on Chasm, because not only could he not handle Chasm before, but also now with Chasm having the Scythe of Sorrows, the mismatch is even crazier. And on top of this, to make things worse, even more demons started rushing in. But then thankfully they looked to the skies and it was the Gold Goblin and Kamala Khan. And I mean, they did not turn the situation around. Shocker. But the thing that actually did make a difference happened when all these demons started rushing Madelyne Pryor, with them taunting her and calling her a false queen, you know, with the whole limbo being a wilderness of pain thing. But also with her not having the Scythe of Sorrows and Chasm now being the ruler of limbo, it quickly turns into a situation of like sharks smelling blood in the water. But with all these demons piling up on Madelyne Pryor and attacking her because they believe that she's weak, since she lost her scythe and lost the throne. But it's here as this happens when she shows strength after being fed up, and she just blasts all these demons off of her, which in a way it seems like it's confirmed that Madelyne Pryor is still a Phoenix Spark, or a portion of the Phoenix who is completely composed of psionic energy. And I mean, the idea is very much a throwback, and it's tough to say if that's what Zeb Wells was going for, but with finishing this story, I can't help but to see now the Nate Gray X-Men / X Factor Volume 1 Inferno references. But I guess over the course of time, we'll have to wait and see what's actually coming back and what just seems like it's being teased. But with Madelyne doing this and showing strength, she lets the demons know that it wasn't the scythe that made her dangerous. And really it's from here where the demons begin to proclaim that Madelyne is the true ruler of Limbo. They leave from Chasm's side and they get back behind her. And from here, this turns things around completely, because suddenly Chasm and Hallows Eve begin to get overwhelmed, since the heroes who up to this point were fighting off the demons no longer have to fight off the demons. So they switch their focus over to Chasm and Hallows Eve, and now the heroes also have every demon from Limbo at their side and backing them up. But now with Ben knowing that at this point he's pretty much lost this fight, he still decided that he's gonna go down swinging. But for Janine, who by no means is trying to leave Ben, like she wants to go down swinging with him. And Ben appreciates that, but instead of letting her stay here and fight, he sends her away to safety as he stays behind and takes on everyone all by himself. But for Ben, again, it's too much. He's catching random fists and gliders from all different angles, but also it's here in this moment with him getting attacked by everyone when Ben uses the Scythe of Sorrows and he sends Bedlam away. But of course not to a safer place like he did with Janine, but instead Ben sent Bedlam back to Limbo, which is a story that we'll pick back up with when we get into Venom issue 17, where once again, we'll find that Limbo can be a bit tricky when it comes down to how time works and who the actual ruler is of Limbo when Bedlam gets there. But with Chasm sending Bedlam to Limbo, it's here where Madelyne Pryor takes the opportunity to get her scythe back as Chasm is catching an attack from every angle. But also I gotta say, with Chasm getting taken out this way, this would have been a really good time for his psycho-reactive spider sense to kick in, because I imagine a clone of Peter Parker with that type of ability would just be able to handle crowd control a bit better. But nonetheless, they catch him slipping and he ain't got the scythe no more. But it's from here where things settle, and Madelyne decides that she's gonna take Ben into custody and lock him up in Limbo, because why not? And I mean, with how it's done, his prison, and I use that word loosely, it's like a bit of a paradise, because as far as the demons of Limbo are concerned, this is torture. But also with how it's set up, Ben has visiting hours, and Peter goes to see him, but as it stands, Ben still feels the same way, and he hasn't forgiven Peter. But even still, between the two of them, they're not able to talk long, because Madelyne Pryor has her limitations on visiting hours. But also, as it turns out, after everything, we find that Alex Summers has also taken a bit of a more permanent position next to Madelyne, and would seem this, thankfully he's not dressed like the Goblin Prince anymore. Like seriously, I don't know why that outfit came back. But with the outfit gone and his regular attire back, I'm not sure if he'll still be going by Goblin Prince, or if that's something that's coming down the road with a different design. We'll just have to wait and see. But then it's here as this event comes to a close, where we find that Madelyne Pryor was able to get both Krakoa and the United States to both get on board with her normalizing her operations here in New York. And really, in the case of Krakoa, this was Scott and Jean helping Madelyne, and they were surprised that she got the United States to agree. I mean, especially after everything that happened in Dark Web. But as it turns out, Madelyne had pretty much threatened the United States that it would get worse than Dark Web if they didn't agree. And really, like, that was the thing for me that just had me like, okay, Madelyne Pryor has just finessed everyone. She starts Dark Web, switches sides, ends it, and with doing so, with no consequence, she muscles her way into getting her own Limbo embassy, while Ben is locked up in Limbo and Eddie Brock is just discarded. And I mean, it can't just be me. Let me know how you guys feel in the comments, because to me, it just ain't right. But again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments, because I could be tripping. And this might not be as one-sided as I'm seeing it, but let me know. And so now real quick, I want to give a special shout out to all the patrons. Thank you guys for all of your support. And for anyone who's new here, who wants more information on how to support the channel, I got a link below where you can go to patreon.com/Dopespill. But that'll do it for this one, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and we'll do it again on the next one. Alright, later.